ようこそどうぞはじめまして
Hello everyone, welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. We are already staring down the final month of the winter anime season, which is always hard to believe. A ridiculous march of time and whatnot.
You know what that means? It's time for next season previews.
I think next.
Don't say
I think
bad
Already?
words, G.
I think next podcast episode will be the preview.
All right,
episode.
everybody,
God.
stop talking about this season's anime. Everybody, open up Anna chart. It's time to take a look and make your claims for next season.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of time for that next time. Assuming, I'm kind of curious to see. There already been postponing shows because of coronavirus.
Yeah.
We've had delayed episodes, and this is obviously not a joke. I'm just saying, we'll see how that impacts.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. We've already had episodes this season getting delayed, so we'll see how it goes. But anyway, on a more positive note, we'll have plenty of this season's anime to talk about still. So let's get into it. Just to introduce everybody, I'm Jel, and joined, as always, I have Iroh with us today.
Yep, I'm still here. I'm not dead yet.
Yep. G.
What's good, y'all?
And in a surprise twist, we are joined by Artemis.
Hello, nice to be here.
It's finally someone can class up this joint.
We're gonna
Don't know
class
about
up.
that.
Yeah.
You'll be lucky.
Yes, thank you for joining us today, and
Yes,
we're
our
glad
GLORIO
to...
C region correspondent. That is
Yeah.
no longer in the C region, but
Yeah, well, I finally have somebody on the East Coast with me again. But yeah, that aside, let's get into today's topics. Before we get into the anime, we did want to mention, kind of on a more serious note, I guess, the passing of Junichi Goto, who is most famous for his role as Inferno Cop. He passed away in a motorcycle accident. He was only 40 years old. It was a really tragic event. And I don't want to make light of the situation, I suppose, but I guess let's just say as a tribute to his work, that was probably the most Inferno Cop
Yeah.
way to go, I guess. But,
yeah, it's yes, obviously a very real tragedy, but there's. Look, when you read the headline, Inferno Cop voice actor dies in a motorcycle accident, it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that one of those like life imitates art sort of things? I guess
Yes.
Is that like when Paul Walker of the Fast and Furious movies also died in a car accident a few years back? It's
yeah,
Mhm.
it's more a credit to our appreciation for his work, I suppose.
yeah. I mean, look, Inferno Cop I am contractually obligated to mention that Inferno Cop must always occupy a spot in my top 3 Trigger anime list. Like, even as the list grows longer, even as Trigger continues to make more anime, Inferno Cop always has to be in the top 3 because it is
It's their first one.
It is the quintessential Trigger anime.
Set the
in many
tone,
ways.
right? Yeah, I'll always appreciate his when he finally appeared in Space Patrol Luluco
Right. Yes.
to give his uplifting speech
And show her the
When-
exit out of hell.
when Luluco was in hell. So yeah, so yeah. Rest in peace to Junichi Goto. He will be missed on that one. So, all right. Let's move along. The other news topic we wanted to mention.
Also, not
Shortly
happy
af-
news, but
Well, shortly after last week's podcast, the Crunchyroll Anime Awards finally happened.
Yes, talking about 2019's anime. In
Yes, because
February of 2020.
we're all still excited to talk about 2019 now that it's March in 2020. And Crunchyroll continues to make a big deal. I thought about going. They had a bunch of watching parties and they had one in the city, in New York City, I've thought about going, and I was like, I really don't want to go through all the hassle of...
If we're not going to the city to watch Heaven's Feel 3, you're not going into the city to watch the Crunchyroll Anime Awards.
And they had it like at a ping pong bar or something.
Sure, why not?
great.
Maybe it's
Starring
a tribute.
Masaki Yuasa's
Yeah, I was saying
Ping Pong, the
maybe it's a
animation.
tribute to the best anime of the last decade, Masaki Yuasa's Ping Pong.
Yeah. So anyway, the awards happened finally. As expected, it was a popularity contest, and Demon Slayer won like everything.
It was very predictable. I mean,
I'll hit some of the highlights here. So like, anime of the year was Demon Slayer. To be fair, I thought the nominee pool was a little odd, but
So is it only anime that airs on Crunchyroll, or
no, it's,
because remember that one year Made in Abyss won, and that's a high dive
yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Devilman Crybaby won last year.
Right? Yes.
So no, it's all anime. But so the way it works is they pick a panel of judges who chooses the nominees, and then they just put open voting to anybody on the internet for the final win. So that just, as soon as you do that, it becomes a popularity contest, right?
Right.
Like,
I mean, can you vote like as many times as you want, kind of thing?
I don't know. I didn't try to break it.
I mean, I'm sure if you were really, really committed, you could spoof your IP or something. And,
Yeah, because you don't have to sign in, I don't think, to
right,
vote.
spam votes, but
Oh, that's just asking for trouble.
Yeah. But I don't know
like
if anybody...
one of those Japanese idol contests where you can buy as many singles as you want.
Yes.
I have 500 handshakes.
Post those in.
Yeah. For every month of Crunchyroll you've purchased, you can...
You can get however many votes.
Yeah, and I've had an account since 2011, so I could have totally swung this swung this one. But no, so like the only their nominees for best was Carol and Tuesday, which Mob Psycho 102, which was good. Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season, which was odd, I thought, because I did not think that was Anime of the Year material, but it was pretty good.
it was at least
It had
interesting,
moments, maybe like a moment of the year of some kind.
Right.
Best moment or sequence.
And The Promised Neverland, which I think was a legitimate contender if we're balancing quality and popularity.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And then Vinland Saga,
I can kind of believe that one,
which actually made it on quite a few nominees lists, so somebody on the panel must have been pushing for it.
I mean, my understanding is that Vinland Saga actually, the anime seemed to do fairly well in the West. It seemed to
I thought it was
get a fair
solid.
amount of critical acclaim.
I thought it just got kind of like Netflix; it got stuck in Amazon hell.
Right.
That is true.
But,
Now, of course, I have my issues with this list of nominees. For example, it doesn't even have GLORIO's number 2 anime of the year, Granbelm. Or GLORIO's number 1 anime of the year, Beastars. But I can kind of believe that
I'm
one
sure they
because
couldn't
of-
officially acknowledge Beastars
Right,
because
Netflix
it's
shenanigans. But Granbelm was valid. Granbelm. How come Granbelm isn't in Best Protagonist,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Best Antagonist? All right. Let's
Anafugo for best girl.
Right, and rip in peace, Anna Fugo. Maybe not best boy. I guess there are no boys in that show. Best girl, surely Granbelm deserved a nominee.
say,
Best
looking
director, I would say the same. Best animation definitely qualifies.
Yeah.
Best character design, sure.
Well, at least
Best
at
fight
least we'll
scene?
be able to get to vote for Beastars
Sure.
this next year or whenever.
All right, where is my where? How come Shin Jiguan Long is not getting the props it deserves? Nene was robbed. Best couple, sure, maybe.
I think the best couple one was fair. So the best couple was what was from Kaguya.
Oh, I'm not even clicking on these to open them up. I'm
yes.
just reading the.
You're trying to pick every
result
category
awards.
Granbelm could have won.
Best VA performance, yeah, Anna Fugo.
Oh yeah, I'd buy that one. Yeah.
Best comedy, Anna Fugo.
God damn it.
Best fantasy, sure, that counts. It's kind of Magic Girl adjacent. Best drama, for sure. Okay, maybe not best opening sequence or best ending
No.
sequence, but
No.
industry icon, Anna Fugo. I don't
right.
understand.
I will
So
say-
let's I'll hit a couple more of the highlights here. This is another popularity contest thing. I think best director was whoever directed Attack on Titan season 3. I didn't even know Attack on Titan had a season 3.
I don't know if season 2 did very well. Did it?
I'm sure.
Apart from in Japan?
I don't know.
I can only assume it did well enough to justify season 3, but
yeah,
I mean,
but
I feel like
somehow...
Attack on Titan's time in being the most popular thing on Earth is past.
I thought that too, but apparently
Now it's Demon Slayer's turn.
Apparently not if it, could win. Because the thing about... Okay, so here's my thing about a category, for an open vote category for Best Director, is that in all likelihood, that's going to kind of boil down to... honestly, try to list as many anime directors off the top of your head. I bet most people here can come up with,
a few.
At most 10. And
Probably.
so...
Sure.
I think you'd have to even be pretty deep into anime to name 10.
So so for a category like this, it's like I would assume. So my initial assumption about a category like this is it would just come down to what directors have you even heard of? Which in a case like this, I assume it would have been Ikuhara or Watanabe because those two are kind of
right.
As far as anime goes, household names.
The way they're presenting it though is by show, right? So people are going to pick whatever show they like.
That's probably what happened, which is just,
the real oddball here was Babylon. Do you guys even remember that getting nominated?
we watched
show
2
at all?
episodes of that.
I read about what happens in that show and said, I'm sure glad I did not watch any more of this.
Man, speaking of Babylon, though, I will say, in a lot of ways, It Invaded is what I was hoping Babylon would be. So...
Yeah. It's just weird, because the other shows, I think I would kind of expect it, although, again, Vinland Saga may be a little odd to be honest.
It had some good episodes. There were definitely, as Iro could attest with, at least with Vinland Saga, there were at least a few episodes where suddenly the art direction got, 50 times better, and, the backgrounds got,
right,
way more, lusciously drawn.
Right.
And it's you could just tell, they brought on, the really
artist.
good director for these episodes.
Yeah, I think it should, if given the nominees, it should have gone to Mob or Sarazan Mai.
Yeah, I think.
If we're talking strictly directing, but it is what it is on that one. Best animation was, I think, some justice because Mob Psycho won that one.
Yeah,
I think that probably deserved it given the. Oddly enough, if they had Fate Grand Order here, might have been a contender as well.
It is for animation specifically.
If we're talking strictly for best animation, and actually, I'm actually surprised Demon Slayer didn't win because that also has very good animation, and everybody loves Demon Slayer. So, but I think I think that one was actually appropriate.
I just want to say for best seeing Hyakimaru from Dororo up for best protagonist shows me that both people watching that show and the makers of that show did not understand that Dororo is the protagonist of Dororo.
Oh, because that is weird. Yeah, people not understanding the point of the show. And if I were to pick one more, the greatest travesty was Best Girl, because it should have been Fujiwara from Kaguya-sama, and instead it was the squirrel girl from Shield Hero.
Oh, good, the slave girl.
Yes.
Everybody knows I don't even want to say as a joke.
Yeah, she is a squirrel, right, or something like that.
Sure, that's not the problem here.
No, I know that's not the problem.
That's not the problem.
I was just trying to remember what the whole premise was.
I mean, I think if we really want to boil it down to a single sentence, it's the idea of Shield Hero winning anything is kind of a travesty.
Does it say how many people actually voted? Does it tally up the votes for you?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No, it doesn't give a number. So, we don't have no idea how close it was or anything, but, yep. Surprised she beat out the girl from Demon Slayer again, but...
I mean, the girl from Demon Slayer who was literally bound, gagged, and kept in a box?
Also problematic, yes.
What Iro said.
Or that anybody won that wasn't Chika Fujiwara from Kaguya-sama Love is War.
Yes, I'll back you up on that, Jill.
It is a travesty. So, anyway. I don't know if we really need to even mention any of these other ones.
Well,
I could probably...
I think we can move on to the anime that is airing this season, the stuff that is actually worth talking about.
Yes, maybe that's a better idea. So let's we'll hit our usual shows that we've been talking about. Coming back to Somali and the Forest Spirit. Start with that. Now, you guys told me things got dark last time, but how are we looking? How are we looking now?
I mean, they arrived at Little Witch Academia village, the village of witches, who definitely are not humans, even though they look like humans.
Well, they also live like several hundred years, right? So
Yeah, something like that.
Yes. I mean,
And they have like ghastly pallor to their skin.
I will say I think that was a smart adaptation choice because
Right.
you
When
know
it's
the manga's black and
they just
white,
look like
so
people.
yeah. But
Right.
yeah, you know I'd say that like these episodes kind of continue last week's trend of like beginning to explore more of the sort of Made in Abyss-esque like darkness lurking underneath the surface of the setting. You know, they kind of go to this town because they hear, the witches have a repository of all knowledge, the Grand Library, and you know, they go there to try and find out some stuff about humans. And long story short, but the very, very, very old head librarian witch tells them about a story she heard from her grandmother about how the monster people discovered humans for the first time, basically. And it turns out that the subtitle to Somali and the Forest Spirit should be "Maybe the Humans Deserved It."
One of those
Yeah.
situations.
Right. For all of the like, the monsters are killing and eating humans. Every time they show humans, they're like, they hate all monsters, or like,
Right. I mean, they lay it out a little thick when in this like flashback
Yes.
episode. Essentially, there's another golem actually, and he's kind of like, "Go easy on the humans. They're like stupid and short-sighted, and they judge things that are different from them.
Ultra-
They
would-
tend to lash
Not
out with
wrong.
violence and hatred." But
Not
like,
wrong, but yes.
they mean well. They mean well. It's
they're kind of treating him as a godlike figure, though, right? Which is kind of begs the question: how did that happen? I mean,
right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, if I'm being
He's-
like generous, I would almost assume that like the golem being totally fine, but the human-looking witch girl being like an outsider who must be killed is almost like, I don't think it's intentional, but I want to interpret it as like a kind of a subtle statement on like the kind of weird hypocrisy of human bigotry of like, oh, these people are fine because reasons, but these people are not fine because of reasons. Like, oh, the golem, yeah, he doesn't look anything like us, but he's a god. He's not a monster.
just
Meanwhile,
got a
little
horrible
girl,
glowing red eye. on
right?
his-
Meanwhile, you little girl, you can fly. You're a
Demon.
horrifying beast.
yeah.
But I mean, I don't know that warrants humans getting hunted down and eaten in modern day, but you know, it's
Apparently, they started it. So
yes, it certainly sets the tone that like, you know, that for. Sorry, go ahead, Jill.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, are they going for some kind of message with the human animal thing? Like, is this secretly a PETA ad or something like that? Like,
I don't know about that. I mean,
I think I feel like it was probably just coincidence, to be honest. That part of it.
if I'm being entirely honest, I think that Somali's probably just going for the classic, you know, hatred begets hatred kind of story. Like,
right.
you know, the monsters were on the receiving end of discrimination and violence, and now they've turned it around on the humans who have, like, you know, been generations removed from the original, you know,
Right.
perpetrators.
And of course, they still spin the wheel of morality and say, like, see, Somali is a young human and she is friends with everybody, and so there's hope for all of us after all.
Kind of a nature versus nurture thing.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of contrast Somali with the little girl in the village too, right? In the story.
Yeah. They have the same
Yeah.
eyes, too. So,
Oh,
Do
did
they?
they?
yes.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Now that you point that out, but yeah, I mean, not much else to really say about Somali. I think it's kind of just continuing to do its own thing.
I mean, did they just like flip the switch back to everything is like cute slice of life stuff here, or I mean, I felt like after what you told me yesterday with like people like dying horrible graphic deaths on screen, it was going to be hard to just like
There was
go
still
back
some
to the way the show was.
murder on screen.
It was a midway point, I guess, between cutesy slice of life and everything is death.
Yes, they're dialing it a bit back from last week.
They did
but...
have a sequence where all the humans capture like a two-headed dog man and are just like stabbing him over and over, and he's like,
While he's
"Stop,
begging them, while he's
please.
literally begging them to stop.
I don't
yeah.
eat people. I'm just a big dog man."
Yeah, it's so yes, still some murder, but they've toned down the murder index.
Okay.
Since,
they need
last
to,
week.
like you said, show that the humans maybe deserved it, that kind of thing. But yeah, okay.
Well, the backgrounds are still pretty.
They are. The settings are
true.
really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, as we're approaching the end, is there like, is there a possibility of a satisfying conclusion to all this, or do you think they're going to blow it?
I expect and this adventure continues ending.
Yes, they are not going to get to the. I mean, I don't think the manga's done yet either. So.
Oh, okay.
They're not going to get to a satisfactory conclusion.
I mean, isn't the timer ticking on Golem Dad? Like,
yeah, but
okay,
you know,
If they're taking it literally one day at a time, it can last a long time.
yeah, true.
They can stretch that out as long as possible. So yeah, all right. Well, we'll have, I think, at least one more opportunity to check back on that. So. We'll
Well,
return
Jill, why don't you tell us
time.
about what the better Shield hero is up to?
Okay, so
I thought we weren't talking about Figure Order. I can't even joke about that. I'm sorry.
So revisiting BOFURI, I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense. The better shield hero. So this week in dumb video game stuff, these were kind of like in between episodes leading up to there's going to be a big guild war, with the Flame Emperors, which I think is going to be like
Gonna do a raid.
There's probably a Fire Emblem joke in there or something, but so they're building up to that. So these episodes were a lot of like little like one-off stories, which was kind of fun. I'll highlight a couple of the dumb game stuff, which was fun. In episode 7, the main girl goes like on this side quest chain, and you know how like when you're doing a side quest in a game and you're like way overpowered, like you come back to it later.
Oh yeah, totally.
And it kind of like ruins the dialogue because like the dialogue is like super intense, like my life is in danger and you're not in danger at all. That was the joke they went for. So like it was like she had to escort this sick kid's mom to go pick some mushrooms for medicine or something. And they go in and she doesn't take like a single point of damage or anything. And as they're flying in the back, the mom is like coughing and like, I almost died back there. And the main girl's like,
Killed everything in one hit.
So the main girl's like, I think I broke the the dialogue.
That's pretty good. I can appreciate that anime continues to just play with its dumb video game premise.
Yeah, so that was pretty funny. And in episode 8, they've been building up this joke about how the main girl is like this, kind of sweet, nice, innocent person, but all of her powers are like horrible demonic poison powers. And like in this one, she gains the ability to actually turn into a giant, massive demon monster.
Sure.
And so she, so like they were kind of digging into that joke that they've been building up, which is pretty good. But really, I think this entire episode existed because somebody wanted to draw a mecha transformation.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
how
does she get it?
Wait, is the demon transformation like she like got tied with her shield or something?
No, it's totally unrelated.
Oh, okay.
It was just two separate story bits.
Yes, how does she
like
get
I said,
into the robot?
She like again, the premise was really dumb. I think they really just wanted to do a mecha transformation. They go to like a new area, and she meets the king of the machines or whatever. It's like a JRPG robot area. Type
sure.
of thing.
The near collaborate.
Right.
Yes.
And so the god of the machines, in his like dying breath, bestows his power upon her to fight the final boss.
Here, kid, have this robot.
And that makes it so she can transform her armor into a robot. And they do like the Dragon Ball Z, shoot beams at each other, going back and forth.
Always classic.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. So, yeah. So that, I mean, again, just more dumb, fun video game stuff. If you like that kind of thing, and low stakes kind of just people having fun playing video games stuff.
Well, it seems like they continue to like do a decent job of they know their lane and they're sticking to it.
Yeah. So I think the last couple episodes, like I said, she'll probably be fighting Edelgard and the Flame Emperors in the Guild War. So that'll be fun, I'm sure. And yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to turn you guys loose on It Invaded, which the sense I'm getting from the conversation going around it is this just getting like more ridiculous, or is that
It's so
fair?
fun.
I enjoyed it a lot.
It's great.
So fill me in. What's going on with It Invaded?
Oh boy, where do we?
What is not going on?
They went inside of the idwell. That's inside of the idwell.
Yes.
Right. We're going deeper.
They also introduced co-op idwell diving. This
because
this set of episodes.
Hondomachi, when she went inside of the idwell, there's nobody to pull her. There's nobody to push the eject button on the idwell inside of the idwell. So
So initially, initially they send in the drill guy because he's a brilliant detective candidate, because serial killers. You have to be a serial killer to be able to become a brilliant detective, you see.
Right.
But they send the serial killer into Naruhisago's idwell.
Right.
And unlike Hondomachi, he's too stupid to solve the puzzle. He literally cannot reach the idwell in time because he doesn't know how to solve it. So they realize, oh shit, he's too dumb to solve this. We need to send him, but we can't send Naruhisago to his own idwell. So we'll send the two of them together into a different idwell in the hopes of finding an idwell machine inside that idwell that connects
It's
to
getting
the
really
idwell.
convoluted.
Same idwell inside of the idwell.
It's so good. It's so good. Oh man!
But,
and then
it's some fun because like they've set that whenever you go into the idwell, you become a brilliant detective, and Kaoru is there and all that. Like it does bring up the question of when they both go in, are they both just brilliant detectives? And I guess they are, but
so that's never happened before where
No.
two people have gone in. Oh, that's exciting.
yeah, of course they discover a new idwell in that idwell, and Naruhisago decides to do the double dive. To enter what's the name of the girl? Kiki
Asukai.
Asagi something.
Asukai, I think.
Asuka. Yeah. Kiki Asukai is the name of the idwell, or that's who the idwell belongs to in this idwell inside of an idwell. And boy,
She was like one of the people killed by a previous serial killer.
right, the challenger who killed Naruhisago's daughter. And
I think we've hit the point where I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
To be fair, it's not as convoluted. It sounds more convoluted than it is. When you're watching it, it's not that bad.
right, it's just that you try to verbally explain it, you're like, oh, you just sound like a crazy person.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm picturing you sitting in your house with like one of
With
those
a
pin
diagram.
boards,
Yeah,
with strings,
the strings.
like over
murder
people's
board,
photos,
yeah.
and
Right, and it's all connecting to like a fucking silhouetted picture in the center with the
Johnny
question
Walker.
written, "Who is Johnny Walker?"
Cue the airy music over top.
Yes.
who is Johnny Walker, and where does he get his whiskey from?
But inside of the idwell is just the normal world. But,
Yeah, it turns out
but
that
like
two
Yeah,
one
it's
year ago.
completely normal. Yeah.
Yeah. Two negatives make a positive, so you
that makes sense.
unbecome the brilliant detective and become you again.
Yeah, which is kind of a gut punch for our main character, because he, knowing what he knows, right, and seeing his wife and his daughter.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I think that the
Oh,
second
okay,
of these two
that makes
episodes
sense.
is actually I think it's actually pretty well done, like take on like the kind of intrinsic human desire for catharsis and like emotional conclusion, because again, at the end of the day, this is all inside of a simulation, you know, the Matrix, basically, right? Like, none of this is real. None of this has any effect on the real world. But Naruhisaga, who becomes himself again, enters a version of the world before his daughter has been kidnapped and killed. And he basically takes this opportunity to go back and fix things, essentially. He goes in, he takes down the challenger, the serial killer who killed his daughter, saves the other victim who was in there, and, like...
Play another insert song.
Yes,
while this guy...
And, right, while in the most, like, half-assed, like, fist fight I've ever seen in my life. It's fantastic. But... It really kind of gets to this idea that, like, even if this has no effect on the real world, he still wants the opportunity to save his daughter's life, to save his family's life, because it gives him some sort of closure, even if you know, tragically, none of this is going to matter once he, you know, ejects. But
it's a good way to use the weird anime science to set up an emotional moment, right?
And, like, more than that, it kind of starts getting to, like, this really... I think you guys can back me up on this. The last episode starts to get some really weird mind-bending shit, because, like, basically Kiki Asukai, the Idwell that is inside the Idwell, has the power to, I guess, like, lucid dream, and lucid dream so powerfully she can draw...
astral project...
thoughts. Her lucid dream into other people. And the implication is, because again, so they're in Kiki Asakai's Idwell. I'm going to walk through this as simply as I can. All right, they entered Kiki Asakai's Idwell, and her Idwell is a simulation of the real world. But in this simulation of the real world,
she's there.
It is revealed that Kiki Asakai can project dreams in which people can enter them. Sounds familiar? Sounds like an Idwell. And in those dream worlds, serial killers in the real world enter into Kiki Asakai's dream world to kill her because they can experience, I guess, the thrill of killing without actually causing any quote-unquote real harm.
They like it so much they have a system of who goes on what day.
Yeah, they have a schedule.
Also... Kiki Asukai is Kaoru, who is the dead girl in every Idwell.
Right. And now you're wondering, like, oh shit, like, is the Mizuhaname powered by Kiki Asakai's ghost or something? Like, what is, like... because her powers are almost identical to the powers of the machine that lets them enter the Idwell, and it's... Oh man, this show is so fucking wild. I'm having so much fun with it.
Right, like, I have no idea where it's gonna go in the next, like, 3 episodes. Because we're in the simulation of real life, but we entered the simulation to get Hontomachi out. And also the Idwell, the guy who got arrested on suspicion of being Johnny Walker, who's probably not Johnny Walker, is like, no, don't go into my Idwell, it's a trap.
Yeah.
But... we spend this whole episode inside of this simulation, and what is even going on anymore? But I'm enjoying it a lot.
I am too.
Refresh my memory, why did they double dive in the first place?
Because it was there.
Well, Hondomachi...
because they can.
Yes, Hondomachi originally double dives just because it's there, and she's just like... Well, I'd be foolish not to, you know. It's a video game, you know. You see a new object, you want to push it, you want to see what happens. So initially, the other two double dive to try to save her, and she didn't show up at all in the 9th episode. So we don't know what she's doing in.
Yeah, how does the simulation work for her? She come in a different time period.
These are all questions that need to be answered.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if this is the best show of the season, but it's the one I'm for sure having the most fun with.
I feel like that's a good way to put it. Like, I really love a lot of things that are airing right now, but It Invaded is maybe the one I look forward to the most.
Right. there's something to be said for not knowing at all what's coming up next in a show.
Did they do anything as ridiculous as shooting a bullet through somebody's head?
I mean, they played that insert song while Narisago just like beat the shit out of this guy.
Okay, so maybe we should talk about that fist fight a little bit
Right.
because it's stupid as hell.
So, like, the idea is that in real life, when he found out that this man killed his daughter and the police were going to arrest him, he drove there first and just shot the guy first.
Right, he was,
Before
like,
the
Yeah,
police
racing-
just
showed up.
point blank, right?
Right, that's how he became a serial killer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like no
Right.
prelude, no pre-dialogue, just drove up to the front door and just shot the guy.
Right. So basically, his thought process in the simulation is, oh, now I can go there and take my time killing this man.
Right, like for
Okay.
yes, Narisago basically lets it loose that actually maybe I am kind of a serial killer because yes, I wanted to relish in this man's death.
I think he just wants to confront him, again, like that catharsis thing. He wants to not just shoot him, he wants to
Yeah.
kind of have it out with him properly.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. And so like he like puts his gun away and he's like, I'm gonna fight you one-on-one just the way you like to, and surprise, turns out the serial killer whose gimmick is that he beats people to death with his bare hands is really good at beating people to death with his bare hands and
Right.
just beats the ever-loving shit out of Narisago.
Well, he's literally a pro, right? He's a pro,
Yeah,
or
he's a
he was a
fighter.
pro. Yeah.
And Narisago just takes his gun out and starts shooting him. He's just like, fuck this pretense. I'm just gonna kill you. And
It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same insert song.
No.
Was it the samurai
No, it
one?
was a different song.
it
It's a
was
different one with lyrics about how great revenge is or something. Do it like a samurai.
Anime's great.
No song will ever be as good as Like a Samurai. I think we could all agree.
Yeah, they kind of started with a showstopper there, but
Oh, man.
All right. Well, again, I'm glad you're all enjoying it. It does sound like enough of a mess to be entertaining.
Again,
And,
it's not as messy when you actually watch it. You don't watch it kind of an episode and go, "What? Huh? What happened?"
Right.
It's clearer.
yeah,
Right.
to kind of echo what Artemis said, I think it's very easy to. I think there are actually a lot of anime like It Invaded, and we generally bounce off of them because they are so incomprehensible, because they are so like kind of chaotic in their storytelling. But the thing I think It Invaded does well is like, yes, the individual events are ridiculous and absurd, but beat by beat, I think that like as an actual like written story, it's pretty well done. Like they don't like they foreshadow things pretty effectively. Like they don't throw things at you out of nowhere. Like even something as absurd as like the idwell within an idwell is a thing that like isn't completely out of left field because they kind of establish what are the rules of like entering the idwell. So the fact that an
Right.
idwell is a simulation of somebody's like mind,
That and it's paced pretty well. I mean, we've explained it in what the events in 2 minutes, but it takes place over a couple of episodes. So
yeah.
So it's like what they're doing is like actually is built up correctly and has a purpose, and it's not just like
Yeah.
the author.
it's not just
emptying
random stuff happening at a
the
random
author
time.
emptying their world building notebook that they wrote
Yeah.
out for
Yeah.
and it's I gotta make sure we double dive because I wrote that I thought that'd be cool. So all right, well we'll come back to that one more time and see how that goes because it's actually going to be ending sooner than everything else, right? It's like an episode ahead.
It's two episodes ahead of some, I think.
Yeah.
Some shows that are airing
Yeah, I
this
think
season.
episode 10 there today.
I
Yeah.
believe so.
Because,
yes.
like, it started with a double episode.
yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's move along to Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. We had episodes 7 and 8 this block.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of would it be fair to say there's a little bit of a focus on Mizuzaki as we wrap up her
Yeah.
Yeah.
her
This
conflict,
was kind of her 4-episode arc,
Kind
I
of-
would say.
right, and then kind of climaxing with the big school festival in
Yeah.
episode 8. But again, the show really good.
Yes, it is, man. It's
We had so like episode 7, we had a little bit of which I thought was really nice, kind of building Mizusaki's character, showing her time with her grandma and how she got into animation,
Right.
and like her her talent for observation, and kind of building that up meshed in with the final crunch to get to the festival done, right?
yeah.
The way the show continues to like talk about and be about specific principles simultaneous with demonstrating them on screen is still like the most impressive
Right.
thing about the show to me.
Right. This episode even probably more so than any other episode, because they
yeah,
were literally
totally.
showing her observing, how her grandma moved, or how people in her dance class moved and that kind of stuff, and then drawing it out and everything. And I thought it was just nice to build a little more emotional attachment to the character. Like, I always come back to this over and over again with this show of why it's different to me than your other anime about making anime. You really do like the cast and the characters and the story, in addition to what they're telling you about how anime is being made.
Right, like they're
and
not
the
just a
passion they have
cipher
it.
for like, the
Right.
character is not just like I'm the character animation specialist. Well,
Right. These are all the things I do.
Right,
But
right.
but there's a they take the time to develop the passion and the motivation behind
There's
it.
the
which
emotional
makes it-
connection to all of those things.
And I think
Right.
they do a good job of like really tying it to their characters. Like, I will continue to maintain that Asakusa is my spirit animal just because of her like specific like combination of neuroses and obsessions. But I think that with Mizuzaki, they do a really good job of kind of capturing the essence of like her kind of artist, like what kind of artist she is. And in many ways, maybe this is a grass is always greener on the other side, but Mizuzaki is like very much the like. Maybe it's also because like personality-wise, she also has her shit together way better than Asakusa. But like,
Right.
what makes Mizuzaki really compelling is that in many ways she is the platonic ideal of like what all artists kind of wish they were. Like her, like the episode 7 really gets to this idea that like her greatest skill is that she's very observant. And as an artist myself who is not very observant, I'm very jealous of Mizuzaki. Like I just look like a lot of pro artists are always like, hey man, always like appreciate your surroundings, pay attention. Like if you're walking down the street and you
God,
see something cool,
yeah, I've totally-
just stop and like open up your notebook and like write some things down. Man.
I've heard the same
I'm the guy like
shit before.
I'm the guy who like I could see something fucking amazing happen on the street and I'll be like, damn, that's wild. Well, I'm gonna go home and play video games. And
Right.
like I'm just not the kind of artist who like stops and is like, wow, the way that tree is blowing in the wind, wow, that's
Right.
so inspirational. I'm just not that kind of artist, but Mizuzaki is. And like they do a really good job of showing how like it's one thing to just say like, sort of like, okay, hear me out for this analogy. So the thing Eizouken does really well is like it does the thing that like it does the thing of like it says that a character is good at something and then they show how in the show itself.
Right.
Whereas like bad anime will be like, oh, this guy's the best fighter and then he doesn't fight good. Like Mizuzaki,
or they never really show it, right? You
right, they
just
don't
take-
show it, or they're like,
right.
oh, this character's a tactical genius, and then they don't do anything that's smart. Whereas like Mizuzaki, they're like, oh, she's really good at observing things. She has an eye for like
Right.
watching details,
So we
motion.
have
and-
multiple sequences of her asking people to repeat things over and over because she likes
Yeah.
to watch them do it.
or just like obsessively watching them and like capturing like the most core elements of their motion. And I think it's like, I think for better or worse, right, up till this episode, everyone was kind of like, Mizusaki's kind of the third one. I mean, I myself could not even like properly name her until like,
right. I mean, she's the most quote unquote normal one, right?
Like,
and so she doesn't have as strong a personality as the other two,
right? Like when you're compared to like Machine Gremlin Asakusa and Capitalist Nightmare Kanamori,
right?
Mizuzaki doesn't stand out as much, but I think they did a really good job of making her a compelling character, especially at the very end of episode 7, where she's like giving her whole speech about like, where she's like, you know what? I don't actually give a fuck about anime. Like, what I care about is animation, and like that's such a like artist thing to say to like I just do this because it is a means to an end to my true passion, which is like a very specific part of the process, but the rest of the process, whatever.
Right.
And I think that does a good. I think there's an interesting contrast there with to kind of link this to episode 8 with the festival episode, where it's kind of a subtle bit, but I actually really liked that part at the very beginning where they're like lining up the sound effects and music,
like music,
and
yeah.
They kind of low key like reveal that Asakusa might actually have the makings of a fantastic like not just an animation director, but like a director.
Right.
Like, she has this knack for, like, oh, actually, put the music here, like, silence it here, because just let the sound effects speak for themselves, and then have it swell during this scene. And it's like...
She's a much more, like, holistic creator.
Yeah. Like, she has this, like, knack for understanding anime as, like, as a whole creative process, rather than just, like, her, like, specific, like, niche area. And...
Right.
And then, the rest of that episode's really good, too, where it's just the fucking, like, ridiculous chase through the school.
Episode 8's, like, it's kind of like, I don't know what they're going to do after this, because I feel like this was, like, the climax of the show.
I
mean, you
like
could have said that about
the
the first 4 episodes as well, I think. So,
I don't think this is a much bigger scale.
I mean, it is, but, like, if you had cut the show at episode 4, I probably would have been satisfied as that being a whole thing. And if you would cut the show out here at episode 8, I think I also would have been satisfied.
I agree, but I think what Jell is saying is, like...
Where do you go from here?
It's hard to imagine how you escalate from here.
Right.
Like...
Yeah, because the original test animation thing they did for the council meeting was, like, with the promise of there was going to be something bigger after that.
Right.
And now we hit the thing that was bigger after that. Now what do we do?
And it's like, I don't know, short of like actually just getting scouted by like an actual bespoke anime studio, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
and they tied up one of the main conflicts with Mizuzaki and her parents, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man.
Which
that part was, man, that part really like. Okay, I apologize. I know I know every week we talk about Eizouken, I turn it into some like fucking personal dialogue about my own like.
I mean, they're partially living your life here.
That's
Gene.
why
my own struggles with my career as an artist, but man, Mizusaki
kind of living your life. So
she does it. She does the thing. She achieves the thing every artist just wants, and that is the approval of her peers and family of the work she does. Like, every artist in the world, I guarantee you, every artist in the world has struggled with the doubts and the skepticism of their peers and their family. Because it's art. It's
the when are you going to get a real job?
Right.
Questions.
Like, I've done enough work now that I can legitimately call myself, a concept artist, but I still have those doubts of like, is this thing gonna last? Like, is this gonna all like just blow up on me a year from now? Like,
right.
Like, my family, like, they're, supportive, but I wouldn't say they approve, and it is the ultimate artist fantasy, more than anything, more than critical acclaim, more than financial, like, success, though financial success is also nice, but the thing that I think every artist wants deep down is to burn their life's essence on a great work, and then show that to the people they care about most, and then for those people to say, that was worth it. It was worth it. And that's what Mizuzaki gets in episode 8. And yeah, I feel for her, but also I feel deeply jealous of her because I've been doing this for like way longer than she has, and I haven't gotten that yet. When's my turn? Damn it!
Yeah, I was glad. Maybe in some ways it was a little too tidy on how they wrapped that up, but I also was kind of glad, just plot wise, they didn't drag that out too much because I feel like that could have really dominated.
Yeah, it would be
show.
It would be very easy to have an entire like arc about, oh, my mom and dad don't approve of me doing anime.
Right. Although I was a little baffled by how, when they get into that, the dad's just like, oh yeah, I told her to not do anime, and mom's like, you did? I never heard about this.
Or maybe she
That's
was
weird.
Maybe Mizuzaki was kind of interpreting the severity of her parents' wishes too wrongly or something. I
don't know. When you got fucking goons in black chasing you around the school.
Maybe so, but
I do want to just give a brief shout out to the madcap chase that happens in the school.
Yes, I did want to talk about the rest of the episode. Yes, because the actual rest of the episode was a fantastic climax for everything with the big chase, and
like it's very goofy, but it's very well done. It's the kind of the classic like, we're getting chased by the cops, but everybody in town that we've befriended over the years are chipping in to save us. Yeah.
You got my favorite part was Mizuzaki creeping around in her like manta ray costume, playing Metal Gear Solid while Kanamori was giving her directions.
Yeah, that was very good. Or fucking getting help ridiculous. From the zipline club.
Yes. Yeah, that's the other thing. I love how this school has just ridiculous niche clubs all over the place. Like,
right, like the
do you
air
guys remember
club?
Yeah, like the air conditioning club, the HVAC club. Or there was, I think it was one of the episodes they were showing the student council had like the board of all the clubs.
Right, yeah. One was like New German Music Club or something.
Right, applying for money and all getting denied, and there all these like totally bizarre. It was only like you had to pause the screen.
Like
to
Carbohydrates, like Appreciation Club.
Right. So yeah.
I kind of wonder where this trope comes from, because like this and Kill la Kill both did the joke of like ridiculous, highly specialized clubs, and I wonder if there's like a foundational inspiration for that joke, because
I think that's a pretty I don't know if it's common, but I've seen that in other anime. I'm thinking I remember Golden Time when they did their club club recruiting part.
Oh yeah, the Tea Club example, where we just go out and get hammered every day.
But there was like a bunch of other weird clubs that were like recruiting.
Right, and I guess I wonder if that joke comes from anything specific to like Japanese like club culture.
They probably are just from like the creators going, man, I wish I had this club at school. especially if you live in a really rural area and you go to a small school and there are like 3 clubs and you have to join one of them. So
right.
You know, like
right. Don't
the
they
first school
require you to join clubs?
In junior high they do. High school's a bit more, depends on the school really. But like the first school I went to, like my main school was a junior high. It had about 40 students total, and there were 3 clubs. There was the baseball club, the volleyball club, and the music club, and you had to join one.
Ugh.
You in trouble? I would be in trouble.
I would be in trouble, yeah.
I would have to join. I would have to join the local delinquents gang, because I got no
not
other,
in this village. You wouldn't.
Squatting behind the bleachers club.
Look, I don't got any of the choice, man. I can't do baseball.
A lot of the kids couldn't do any of it, but they did. Somehow they had to, and it's every day, and it's in the summer holidays, and it's on national holidays, and it's.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anything worse than a music club playing music with people who don't want to play music.
And the music club was like 5 people, so there was
wow, I'm surprised.
There was like a horn, a clarinet, and a piano, and like a record, like.
Oh no!
I'm just thinking myself. Given the choices, I don't want to play sports, which then leaves me the music, and I do play music, so I'm fine with that. But like, I feel like there would be more people that just don't want to play sports, and my only other alternative is music. But yeah,
you know what? I kind of want an anime about Artemis. I want an anime about this half-ass music club you just described. Because
their job was to play, like if we had graduation ceremony, they would play the entrance song and stuff, and the
it's
exit
a
song.
5-man band.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And
How much can you play?
and then one year when graduation happened, most of the people in the music club were graduating, so it was just
Oh,
one
no.
sax. It was like the one second year playing sax.
Just a single saxophone player just fucking played their ass off. Just
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. But that's what I mean, because
really
like
good.
usually in anime, when you have like the music club, it's like K-On! Or something, where it's like, oh, we can afford like good instruments, and like we're actually playing a bespoke genre.
We have passion
Yeah.
for the craft.
But I want the music club that's like, well, I play clarinet and I can kind of read sheet music, and
Yeah.
like, what kind of music do you play?
And that was, to my knowledge, how it kind of started off, because I don't think most of the kids who joined played that instrument in elementary school, so...
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But
So maybe Eizouken's vision is coming from that desire to
Yeah,
Right.
I don't
anything.
know. Like if they grew up somewhere, really rural, then quite possibly.
just like the fantasy of running your own zipline club.
I would
Right.
join that club. That sounds like a fun club.
I mean, that one does. It's some of the other joke clubs in Eizouken where I'm
Yeah,
like,
like was it the calorie appreciation one?
Yes.
Well, we're advocating
Or
for both
again,
ramen and
well-
udon at lunch, or
Yes,
whatever it was. Well,
Well, I mean, if calorie appreciation just boils down to you get to eat food,
still
then
like
maybe that's not
still
too
like
bad.
how the security club is just the student
The
council's
cops.
SWAT
Yes.
team.
Yeah, with their RPGs. And,
right, which again, I mean, that's kind of what I mean when I say, like, kind of like Kill la Kill. It kind of is the joke of, like, these clubs are so highly specialized, they basically form their own, like,
right.
It's crazy to me that
Factions.
it's crazy to me that the clubs get budgets at all. That's still wild to me.
yeah, I mean, when I was in high school, man,
Right.
you paid out of pocket for everything, shit.
Oh yeah.
Like,
This is
only
America. You don't get anything for free.
only the really big clubs like got funding, and even then it was usually just the teacher like paying out of pocket for like my club. My school had a barbecue club, and that was just
that
because
sounds
one
rad.
teacher was extremely passionate about barbecue to the point where he like bought 3 smokers and brought them to campus.
Sure.
And in hindsight, I probably should have joined that club. I
should
don't
have.
know.
Probably would have been pretty
Why the
good
fuck?
actually.
Why the fuck did I run an anime club when I could have just joined the barbecue club? Man, I was a fucking idiot in high school.
Biggest
Given that-
mistake of your life.
Yes, I could have been barbecuing, man.
My school
Combined them.
This
or
was
something.
not a club. We're getting way off topic now, but
That's
my,
fine. That's what this
one of
podcast is
my
about.
my school had a full like diner off in a corner for
Diner?
like
Like
restaurant teaching stuff. Full on like diner counter service at
Oh, that's
lunchtime
neat.
to teach like restaurant skills.
Huh.
Yeah, and so, but it was not common knowledge. So you'd have all the seniors who would go to the jar at lunch and get like decent diner food,
Real food.
yeah, and not get like actual
school
burger
food.
and fries, and not
But they didn't
a
like
microwave
do a good
burrito.
job. Huh? They didn't tell anybody about this.
Well, would you tell people about it? It's already crowded enough.
Fair enough. Fair enough. With the barbecue club, you couldn't really hide it because
Smoke,
you
yeah.
smell the barbecue, and
Right.
you would just naturally be drawn in that direction.
That sounds like an anime premise in itself. There, like a separate
The diner club,
The secret
Diner
diner
club.
club that's on
diner
campus.
club.
Midnight Diner,
Yeah.
high
Man,
school
we're-
edition.
We're fucking writing our own anime here. It's just
It's the Eizouken effect where it's getting the creative juices flowing. But
all
right.
Show
Yeah.
that
So,
has
yeah.
plenty of juices flowing.
well, let me just putting the bow on Eizouken again. I don't know. Are they going to get another project? I guess the only direction I could see, because what they did was a commission from the Robot Club, right? So
Yeah.
they still haven't like done like the anime they want to make.
their own
right?
personal anime, not
Are
you.
they gonna?
So-
is this gonna be anime gutteries?
Oh, I kind. Again, I was debating whether that would be a good or a bad thing, but
They're gonna make
Whoa.
something to sell at Comic Cat.
I don't know. Well, they were selling the merch and the DVDs for this
Yes.
anime, right? So like, is that going to lead to some ridiculous? I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, the other part is this is based on an ongoing manga, right? So
Yes.
No, yeah, that's true.
there's only part of me wants this like big wild, ridiculous ending where they end up being at the top of the anime world or something.
As like,
but I feel like
as the next logical
that's not gonna
step here,
happen.
like their own Daikon 4 type.
Yeah, so I was suspecting that, like, if this is good, is that... So my two suspicions about the future of Eizouken in these last 4 episodes is either, yes, they kind of go the Gainax route of create their own, like, you know, iconic genre-defining short that kind of puts them on the map. Or maybe related to that, I feel like we have gotten character focus on Asakusa and Mizuzuki, and I feel like the kind of logical conclusion now is that it's time for Kanamori to get her own, like, character arc. Because she has been a prominent character this whole time. I mean, she is arguably the most popular of the 3 in the fan base, but she hasn't really, like, had a, like, character arc, so to speak.
We haven't really gotten into her motivations or
Right,
anything.
like... It's kind of hard to imagine a character like her who is like as hyper competent as her struggling, but you know, I feel like the logical conclusion here would be for her to run into some kind of like personal or external struggle for her to deal with.
Because we know on the surface level her motivation is money, but you get the impression that it's not really her true motivation, right? Like, or, you know, is there some reason why that's, you know...
I mean, if her sole... I mean, right, because if her sole, like, motivation was money, she would not get into the anime game. That's...
Right, there are more profitable ventures to get
And,
involved
like, she
with.
would not fight as hard as she does for Asakusa and Mizuzuki if she did not, like, genuinely care to some degree, so...
Right.
Yeah.
She actually bought them dinner that one time, so... at a cheap,
I mean, at like the
you know,
fucking
dive
cheapest
bar.
ramen place imaginable.
I mean, I
But...
feel like they've shown that she is like working very hard in her own way to make sure it's.
Oh, totally. I mean, look, she hustled the HVAC club. You know, she's making moves.
blackmailed yeah, so that would be interesting. It's just that there's not a lot of time left, so
Yeah.
going in a completely different direction at this point is going to be a little tough, but I have faith at the moment that they can pull it off. All right, so final show on our list is Dorohedoro.
Yeah.
And, you know, before we get into the details here, I had a realization that I want to throw out for everybody here
Okay.
as I was watching these episodes. I'm not sure specifically at what point. But, you know, I didn't think I was going to like Dorohedoro after the first episode. And even now, I wasn't really sure why. And then I realized this show has the exact same structure as Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun.
Wait.
Think about it. Think about it for a second. The most obvious being Shin and Noi have the exact same energy as Hori and Kashima, right down to her yelling senpai all the time.
Now, what if they committed murder?
Damn it.
That's. I mean, a lot of people yell senpai all the time in anime. Come on.
Yeah, but their relationship feels very similar to me on that.
I mean,
one.
is it
And
also
then-
the vibe of like they're clearly very into each other, but like they neither of them can bring themselves to like just
there's
say
that. I feel like there's like 3 couples we've split up with.
Oh my god, there really are.
You've got N as the vaguely gay fifth wheel. It was all coming together for me.
Yeah,
in
there's
this- in
3
this-
primary couples in Dorohedoro. There's Kaimon and Nikaido, Shin and Noi, and then
Right.
Abisu and Fujita.
Yep. As I was seeing that all shape up in these episodes, it occurred to me that's why I'm actually liking this show. That must be the reason.
Add romance to its myriad genres.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously there's a lot more blood and graphic violence here, but
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could really say romance. I mean, doesn't Kaiman just want his gyoza? Like, isn't that all it boils down to for him?
I
I mean, that's a form of romance,
through his
right?
stomach.
Anyway, that aside, I thought episode 6 was fine, but I didn't think it was like their best work. I feel like they were just it was kind of workmanlike, just kind of keeping the plot
Yeah,
going.
Yeah.
So like you had, we had like the cool fight with Nikaido storming En's mansion there. And we got a little background on Shin, like a little bit of his backstory. And like at first I didn't like the end part where Kaiman fights the giant cockroach guy. Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
until they called him back in the next episode. Then I was like,
my
okay.
God. So the thing that saves episode 6 for me is, yes, it introduces Johnson, the giant cockroach, who is the best fucking side character in Dorohedoro.
I did really enjoy how Kaimon is fighting this cockroach, and in any other anime, be like, oh man, the situation's serious, I need to get past this, or whatever, and instead he's just like, fuck this, it's a giant cockroach, I'm out of here.
Right. Like, he's just like, no fucking way am I dealing with this. Like, just runs screaming. But, I will say, I do like, episode 6 is the one with Shin's backstory, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I will say, that episode, that part I really liked, because for better or worse, that section is a brief glimpse into the promise of what the Dorohedoro anime could have been in a world where the Dorohedoro anime gets unlimited budget and unlimited time to work on it, because that section is entirely hand animated. There's no CG in that section. And
Right, they did not bother to make a model for Shin, for young Shin.
Right. And it's like, man, does that section look really good? Like, I don't complain about the CG most of the time, because I'd say for the most part,
It's been pretty good.
It's fine. Yeah.
yeah, it's been pretty good, and the backgrounds are fantastic, so, hard to complain. But that brief section with Shin's backstory, I was like, oh, but what if all of Dorohedoro looked like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, and it's all of En's gang are just like very interesting characters, because there's big, wide gray areas.
yes, they're it's
I mean, at the end of the day, they're all psychotic murderers.
right, but it's
Everyone
it's
in the show is a
dysfunctional
psychotic
family.
murderer.
Yes, grading on a curve.
Yeah, I mean,
They're doing.
It really is the murder curve of Dorohedoro. Of like at the low end, you have Fujita, who's never killed anybody, but not for lack of trying, and then on the upper end, you have like
Kaimon, who will kill his
Who
taxi
throws
driver.
people out of taxis.
Yeah.
yeah, because he doesn't want to pay for his taxi, so he'll just kill a dude. But
I do love how, I guess, I don't know if we want to move on to episode 7 yet, but in the related, when Fujita goes to Hole and he just brings a gun to kill Kaimon.
brings a Glock, just straight up takes it out of his backpack.
I'm just gonna shoot him in the head. I can't beat him with magic. I'm just gonna shoot him in the head.
Does lead to the question of, wait, did the wizards always have guns and they just choose not to use them?
Or they're just not as efficient as magic.
But yes, I think episode 7 is definitely the star of the show.
It's the star of the
Yeah,
season for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the best episode I've seen in a long
Just,
time. Like anything.
rapid fire gags
so good.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So of course, episode 7 is the baseball episode.
The good old, the classic one of all the anime like episode premise tropes, like beach episode, Christmas episode, etc., etc. I think baseball episode generally tends to be the most consistently good.
Yeah, we were having a hard time thinking of a bad one when we were chatting about it. It's just a good way to get your cast together.
Right,
in a
just
fun situation, and
just mash a whole cast together in
a low stakes
frankly
conflict.
relative like low stakes game that like won't have
well,
any,
how many people died in this game? Is a good...
Yeah.
well, fine, low stakes for Dorohedoro,
Relatively, low stakes.
which is like only 3 people died during this baseball game.
only 15% of the players.
But
died
as
in
Eero
this.
said, I think what it does best is that the baseball like framework just allows you to have a lot of really fun rapid fire jokes.
Right. And I mean, through the whole thing, like we mentioned, Fujita with the gun, and then he gives Ibisu the I love Hole t-shirt.
So good.
And then you have her running around in the shark costume.
Yes, the shark
yelling
dance
about
and,
murdering people, and the cranky old men arguing back and forth.
Right. Or like the escalating joke of like them introducing like Kaimon's like baseball team, right? And it's like initially you're like, what, a giant cockroach? That's crazy. And then you're like, wait, just a zombie?
Right.
Check it out, guys. I made a Frankenstein out of that wizard you killed.
Out of all those wizards you killed.
Right. Oh, right. And it ends up being the Fujita's old partner, right?
Yeah.
Right. To tie it all together.
And,
That's the other thing. Like, I think I said this last time. Like, I feel like they don't wait as wacky and crazy and out there as some of the things Dorohedoro does. It's like I feel like they don't waste anything. Like we're gonna introduce this cockroach monster in this one scene, but we're gonna get our use out of that cockroach monster and bring him back.
Yes.
Later. Like they're not really wasting any screen time. It feels like, but yeah, this episode is just so good. Like you get the quick gags, the kind of like easy, nice little characterization bits on the characters, and it was just fun across the board. But yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to see. We still have a lot of we didn't really spend much time on the mystery in this block, unfortunately. So we still have a lot of work to do there, I guess.
Right.
Which
something about they're like because Abisu has lizard magic.
Yes.
This is their like reveal, right?
Oh, right. We do
Yeah,
get that,
yeah.
right? Okay.
Right, yes. The B plot of that episode is Noah gets transformed into a lizard.
Right.
Goes on
I
a
got to admit
rampage.
to you guys, I did watch episode 8, so I'm trying to draw the line where episode 8 was.
Right.
Man, I purposefully did
my
not watch that this
apologies.
morning, so I wouldn't like accidentally talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
that's my
when
bad.
Noi gets transformed into a monster and rips up Shin and En.
Right, and they're just like not right, like Shin just nonchalantly standing there with like his entrails hanging out of him.
Right, like, oh, to turn her back, we need a piece of someone's entrails from her closest person. But I'm not going to
Right,
cut
so
my stomach
conveniently-
open. You're already bleeding out, so how about you
Yeah,
just give up yours?
The best part of that is when he has to remember their best memory together.
Oh my god, right. It's a fucking
Like, oh, we got
when it's
wasted.
like Thelma and Louise just flying off a cliff.
She got wasted and drove off a cliff. It was great.
Good times.
And the way like death just does not matter at all with with them. But
Or, like I mean, even
yeah,
like at
so-
the very end when like they cure it and it's like Abisu's holding Matsubura's like severed head. You know, the body that Fujita like struggled this whole episode to get back to like get revived,
Yes.
and then she just crushes it.
Perfect comedic timing.
Just yes, the
with all
timing
that.
of that scene is perfect.
Making crushing his best friend's head hilarious.
Yes, I mean
That's
that is-
Dorohedoro.
That's,
That
that's
is
Dorohedoro.
Yeah, so I guess we did get, that's a pretty big clue there that we find out about Ebisu's magic, and her being able to turn people into dragons or lizards or something like that, and kind of where we're gonna go with that bit of it. So
Also, the question of what is Nikaido's magic is still floating around there.
What indeed?
that's still floating around there.
Well, this
What's the-
this show's an episode behind everything else, right? Or a couple even, so
Yeah, so we do have.
it's got a bit of time up its sleeve still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just barely
G,
past the
you've
halfway
read the
point.
manga, right?
Yes.
So it's like how you said based on how many episodes there are, it's not going to reach the end of the manga, right?
Definitely not.
Is there like a good?
There's a-
is
But
you
there
think
like-
there's a
yeah,
good
is there
stopping point?
Is my question.
There is a big climax that I would, if I were making the Dorohedoro anime, I would try to shoot to end there. If I only had one core. The thing I would say, however, is that based on the current pacing of the anime, that point would be like a hypothetical episode 14 or 15.
Okay.
And so it's like I think of like it's too short. It's too short to be two cores, but it's too long to fit into one core. And my fear is that they might just start jamming a lot of arcs together. Like I mean, they kind of are already doing that. Like I feel like the baseball episode was kind of special because like they kind of just devoted the entire episode to that when like. They could have totally like turned
when
that
like
into,
half of these episodes have been like 3 shorts in one episode.
Yeah, and like you could tell like they really put their all into the baseball episode, but I think otherwise they're gonna follow the format of episode 6 of like 2 or 3 vignettes at the same, in one episode, because I think for better or worse they're gonna have to do that to reach like the narratively appropriate stopping point.
Sure.
I mean, they've already announced that the BD releases are gonna have OVAs of like extra scenes, and I suspect that those extra scenes are going to be the more like filler slice of life stuff that they're going to have to cut to kind of make it to that climax.
Have they already skipped like a lot, or
they've skipped some stuff? Yeah, I mean, it's mostly like incidental stuff. It's kind of like like omake chapters basically, right?
Sure.
Like stuff at the end of a volume, or like maybe like smaller scenes in the bigger chapters that were like not as necessary to the overall plot.
Right.
I think the biggest thing they've probably skipped is I'm not going to say, because they might bring it. They still might bring it back. I mean, they have to. The thing I'm thinking of specifically, they have to bring back because it starts off as a one-off joke and then becomes like a key component to the climax of the very end of the manga. Sure. They'll have to bring it back eventually.
Let's leave that one out then.
Yeah, but I think there's a place they're going to shoot for the ending. Yeah, and
okay,
I think they'll make it, but it'll be a little hasty.
I mean, the show is nothing if not chaotic, so
that's true.
Right. They can kind of get away with it.
Yeah, I wonder if they could tack on an extra episode or two because it's Netflix, and maybe they're not as tied to broadcast schedule. I don't know. That
would be nice. It would be nice if anything good came out of Netflix.
Because I mean, you could push to a 14 episode on a normal core at most, right? We've seen that.
I think so. Yeah.
But either way, I love the show.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. I wasn't sure after episode 1, episode 2, but sold now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really happy with this adaptation. It's again, like Beastars, when I heard it was going to be CG characters, I was very worried, but they've done a really good job. They've really kind of captured the spirit and the personality of that story.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't think the CG is like maybe as good as Beastars, or at least the directing, but it's not distracting, which is kind of all I would ask.
Yeah,
I kind of even wondered if I mean, I know they're having probably budget troubles, right? But even so, I wondered almost if they had been like, you know what, this series is weird and crazy and unsettling, and maybe the CGI mixed with the hand-drawn stuff will make it more so, like helping the tone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, maybe it's always hard to say with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
it probably does work a little better here than if it was just like a school anime or something.
I mean, yes. I think it's like, because the setting is so
deeply wrong.
That's a good way to put it. Like,
yes,
you could get away with a little bit more of that otherworldliness.
Right.
I mean, really, the only one that bothers me is Kaimon. It's kind of rough, but
in a perfect world, Kaimon.
I mean, his mouth flaps just remind me of Toku. Yeah. So
yes. Like, I feel like the thing you gotta understand is that Kaimon, like, he has a lizard head. He's not a man in a lizard costume. Like, that is his head.
I know,
like, his mouth should not, like, do the Pac-Man thing. Like, I'm begging you guys, like, put just a few more frames in his talking animation.
He does have his mask on, like, 50% of the time.
I mean, that's probably a very effective way to save on animation.
And one of my favorite things in the show is when he eats through the mask.
Yeah, you get like the hole. Yes, you got the like.
You just see him sticking a straw in the hole that just goes to nowhere. You have no idea how that works.
Very good.
But so, all right. I think that's pretty much it.
I can talk about Kamen Rider if you want.
Yeah, we do.
So excited.
We do have some time left. I don't know. Did anything new happen since the last time we talked?
Kinda. it reached kind of like an arc climax. Because
this was the battling CEOs.
Yeah, the past several episodes have been basically about how the new bad guy, the other CEO who was a Kamen Rider, is just a massive asshole all the time. And it turned out he was not just smug because he's a smug dick, but he was doing it with intention to piss off the main character.
Because that's much better motivation.
Because he basically makes a power-up for the main character and forces it onto his belt, which floods his brain with malice or something. Because when humans...
To unlock his true potential or something.
See, robots are good. They only learn evil from humans. And so if you fill the person who has the most faith in human gears, if you just fill him with malice, it proves that the robots are not worth it, or something like this.
I don't know about this.
So, but yeah, so main Kamen Rider gets this new power up that turns him into an evil berserker who just attacks everything indiscriminately.
And I bet he hates robots.
And so to counteract all the malice of humans, they go and talk to all of the good robots from the past 20 episodes, because to counter the evil data, we have to get good data from the...
yeah, that's how you fix a computer with bad data. You fill it with good data.
Yep. And so they give him a new power-up, give him a new sword that lets him use this new power-up without going crazy, and we finally beat up evil CEO.
Okay.
The good CEO beats up the evil CEO.
Yep. Because as we all know...
Yes, I keep forgetting the premise of this fucking story is that actually some CEOs are good.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's okay that there are billionaires, because some billionaires use their money for good.
Yeah, I'm too tired to make specific political jokes on that, but there's definitely ones to be made there.
But, all things considered, for considering the poor quality of Kamen Rider the past few years, it's not terrible. There is some actual character development.
Real high bar there.
Yeah, I know, right?
The Eero seal of tolerance for Toku. I tolerate this show.
Indeed. More importantly...
Yeah. The Iroh seal of approval is I watched it for 2 episodes and I'm still watching it.
More importantly, Ryu Soldier is done, which means the next week we can start Machine Sentai Kira Mager instead.
Oh, on the Super Sentai side, the new
though
new
remains to be
series is
seen
starting.
if the new one will be any good, because Super Sentai and Kamen Rider cannot be good simultaneously. It's a law of the universe.
But the Kamen Rider's also not that good.
Well,
so...
no, Zero-One's been alright. It's been fine. It's been good.
Oh, okay. The way you're describing it, I couldn't tell how you felt about it. I was gonna say, has there ever been a time where it's like instead of one good, one bad, it's just 2 mediocre?
Probably not in the
Tokus
time.
at the same
Not in the
time?
time where I've been watching.
Yeah.
For the past few years now.
Right. All right. Well, there's your Kamen Rider minute. I don't know if there's anything else.
You're talking about Pokemon's bad now.
Oh well, the real Pokemon series now is Twilight Wings, so we can just ignore.
I still need to watch that short. I heard it's good.
It's good for
you didn't watch.
I know. I didn't watch the show with
your waifu
with the fit karate chick. Yes, I know.
Yeah. Gee, they made that for you, episode 2. So that's the real Pokemon anime. Now in my mind,
I will say, like, for all we praised Sun and Moon for being different than all the other Pokemon series, the new one is like all of the other Pokemon series, and consequently, we're not enjoying it.
I thought with like the new animation style, maybe it'd still have some of that personality. But
I mean, some, but not nearly enough. When even if you keep some of the animation personality, if all of the writing personality goes away, like, I don't know, man.
No,
Turns out having a larger core cast lets you write more complex and emotionally interesting plots.
No, I totally get you, man. Writing in kids' shows is important. Like, I'm not even saying that as a joke, you know. As the resident Gundam Build Fighters fan, let me tell you what bad writing can do to a kid's show.
Well, we'll find out next season how that coach turns out.
Yeah, well, we'll
that
save that
comes
for the
back.
next podcast.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we are out of steam here. So we will be, I guess, back next time is likely going to be the season preview. It's already that time.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone can stay tuned for that. I'm going to go ahead and do our housekeeping here. So you can check us out at theglorioblog.com. You can follow us on Twitter at theglorioblog. You can follow the podcast or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, and YouTube. Tell your friends and enemies. And that's going to do it. So we will catch everybody next time.